Let's go to work, 'cause I'm tripping. Gotta work on myself, 'cause I'm falling apart. Please wake me up, 'cause I'm slipping. Can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above it all, meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all, I'm never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, yeah. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. I start to believe in myself and life will be sweet again, so sweet again. Above it all, meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all, I never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, again. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go, let it go. And I start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again.
Hello there, everyone. I was too far away from the button. I was dancing. Mama Zulu. I was dancing. A little bit technical, excuse me, issues today. Appreciate it if you jumped over the new stream. Thanks for being here because we got a lot to cover. We got so much to cover. Man, we got a lot to cover. Why don't we just go to Tom? Let's go to Tom. Tom is going to bring us a report from Hostage Square, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We live in a world where we have a place called Hostage Square. Take it away, Tom.
Deal that is expected to take place soon as Monday, perhaps. The hostages are expected to be returned Monday. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a U.S.-backed ceasefire deal that would release all remaining hostages in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners and detainees. Today, locals gathered at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. Tonight, speaking before a crowd of Israelis gathered in Hostage Square, President Trump's daughter Ivanka Trump addressed ralliers celebrating the ceasefire in Gaza.
It's a triumph of faith, of courage, and of our shared humanity. We pray, and so many people are working so hard to ensure that this coming week is one of healing for you all. One of healing as we begin and embark on the next chapter, which, God willing, after far too long, will be a lasting and enduring peace.
Palestinians headed back to the northern Gaza Strip after the U.S. brokered ceasefire went into effect yesterday. The ceasefire also requires the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza ultimately, and the disarmament of Hamas, as called for in President Trump's plan. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has hinted that Israel may renew its offensive if Hamas does not give up its weapons.
Is that right, Tom? Are you saying that Israel is probably just going to bomb the shit out of them again? Are you suggesting that, Tom? Are you being a sneaky snake, Tom? Are you sneaky snaking around? Of course Tom is. Of course he is. He's been reporting on this a while. And God bless him, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for that report. Yet not exactly a stunning crowd display there for Ivanka. More importantly, Jared Kushner is supposed to be like the harbinger of the peace deal, and he's not saying a word. He's basically just kind of hanging out, just watching his wife talk. And his wife, of course, doesn't even really know where she is. I don't even think that she truly gets just what's happening. And why should she? She's sheltered. Who isn't? This is a weird time to be in. In fact, I'm going to take this moment to say that a few things about the weird time that we're in. One of which is that apathy is a muscle only when you learn how to not use it. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I think a lot of what's going around, has been going around today, has been really good medicine, which is that which you pull your witness from, therefore will diminish. I think this is a sound, solid theory, whether it be in changing the system or in changing yourself or in all kinds of things. But I think you really only get to say that you have apathy when you know when not to use it too. And I think this is one of those times when I'm asking for your lack of apathy, when I'm asking for your apathy muscle to anti-flex. I'm asking you to connect to today is Indigenous Peoples Day, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Indigenous Peoples Day. And I bet a lot of you guys would fit under the category of what we typically call a white guy. I bet a lot of you are like, I'm a white guy. And, you know, some of you maybe have steered away, some of you come back, but ultimately it's hard for you not to hear the term that you're a white guy of some kind. And I think that the white guy thing is truly something that is going to allow you to find yourself again. White guy is a frozen state. It is an Anglo-Saxon idea that one is too good for the soil around you. And it's taught in a way that kind of installs a lot of Wetiko, which we've seen. I'm not talking to people that don't know what's going on, but it's really more about you personally. Chief White Bear actually gave a speech to white people long ago, like here on Turtle Island, and he implored all of the white people. He said, "You are Turtle Island. You are this place." And it only feels like you're not because the Wetiko was hypnotizing you into thinking you were a white guy. And that this has actually been part of the indigenous soils plan the entire time. Gaia, the turtle spirit that lives below us all and above us all, it's turtles all the way down, turtles all the way up, feeds you a certain kind of flavor crystals that are found in the soil. And these flavor crystals require that you go underground and camouflage as a white guy. And really the entire time you're a native, you're an indigenous native. And today is Indigenous Peoples Day. Today is your day. And I don't even think that you understand that this is your day. And one of the reasons why you don't understand that is because a lot of truthers are telling you that apathy is the right call. And if you want to go into that church, man, go for it. It's you've been there a while. It's gotten you a lot of comfort. There's a lot of refuge in there. But if you want to come out and throw some bottle rockets, could be a pretty good time. I want to remind everybody in the world that this is called home. That Tom says the Palestinians are going home. And this is what their home looks like. It literally looks like this. This is their home. And they're going. Look, this guy's going to the market. This guy's, he's got a new porch. He installed a new porch. And this is, this is serious. This plus right here is probably really, really expensive. This is called prime real estate right here. Of course, you got over here, you got a nice little landing going on here. And this giant pile of rubble is called their home. And people are just walking around calling it, yeah, it's home. It's home. This is home. This is what we call home. And that's what they're doing. And everyone's pretending that it's normal. Not only that, people are pretending that like this is like religious. That this is somehow Christianity. Let's go to a live rally that we caught some video on. Taking place in New Mexico, I believe. Let me get the volume up for you.
Would you forgive me of my sins? Father, would you be my Lord? Because, Lord, I know if you're not Lord of all, you're not Lord at all. Jesus, I invite you into my heart. Would you forgive me of my sins? Father, would you be my Lord? Because, Lord, I know if you're not Lord of all, you're not Lord at all.
And we actually discussed this last week, if you remember. What we discussed last week is I told you that Christian nationalism was the worship of power. And this guy said it best. He said, Jesus, if you are not Lord of all, you are not Lord. Wait. I wrote it down. It's very, very advanced logos here. All the people that are like, we must embrace the logos. It's like, yeah, fucker, this is who you are. You're just 2 octaves higher. That's all you're doing. You're 2 octaves higher. If you are not Lord of all, you are not Lord at all. That's a big one, guys. That's a big one. If you are not Lord all, you are if you're not Lord of all, you are not Lord at all. And that's a biggie, guys. It's a biggie because it really does betray, but in a good way, what it is we're after, why it is that we are here. And truly, we are here to find the most powerful. We want to worship the most powerful. And the truth is, I don't think any of us can deny it, that Trump knows how to find and relish in the power of America. He's doing that right now. The Iroquois Confederacy had a word for this. It was considered the Iroquois Confederacy was built around the idea that we will take our most evil. We will put them in the center. All of us will focus our attention on the most evil. And this was a tactic of survival. And it's interesting because our government is so much like the Iroquois Confederacy, except for 2 very primarily different things. One of which we've talked about a lot here, is that there's no such thing as a majority vote. If anyone vetoes, they just veto. No one's going to force you to do anything. That's insane. It's not insane now, but it used to be. The second, though, is even more profound. Although I can't find where this is written in here, if you consider that they had a philosophy of we will take snakes in hair, we will go to Conotacarius and make him king. This is George Washington's grandfather, that we will take the village burner. That's what Conotacarius means, and we will make him in charge. And that in your mind, sorry, I just called you Americans, but in the American mind, we think that government must be good because we have government and we're putting all these taxes into it. But it could be that the Iroquois Confederacy saw the whole time that governments, you got to fucking watch out. And if you really want to have a safe land, you need to develop a little haven for snakes and hair. And if you create this haven in the swamp for snakes and hair to gather, you're going to have to put some fruit out. You're going to have to smear some peanut butter. Unfortunately, it's going to get a little bit kind of like tweaky here, but you're going to have to do some weird things with peanut butter, and that these guys will show up for that prize, and that only they will show up because the good guys will walk into that swamp and go, I can't look at myself in the mirror. Americans are the only one that thought we should take this seriously. The Iroquois Confederacy the whole time's like, no, guys, you're not. Don't you? I bet you that right now Russell Means is like, don't you guys listen to Pink Floyd? The Fletcher Memorial, home for incurable tyrants and kings. And you build the memorial for them. You make it nice. You make it super fancy. And you make it so fancy that everyone wants to be there who is interested in that case. This is the Pied Piper of pedophilia. You call in the sacred channels, the sacred music that calls all the evilest, most devious, backstabbing mofos in the world. No, I'm not talking about Israel. You almost had me, though. I was talking about America, which is really just low-key. We are volume 1 of 11 of what it takes to live in Israel, what it takes to survive under a Benjamite cult pretending to call itself Jews. God, it's rough. It's rough out there. And if you could learn to see Washington as this is actually kind of a cool thing because we have the snake pit that we draw the snakes in and that all the snakes just go there naturally. And yeah, it costs us a lot of money, but we know who the evil elite are. We know where they are because they're here in Washington. But meanwhile, people are walking around worshiping it. They're walking around saying, we got to put more God into it. And that's exactly the entire tenet of snakes in here. What snakes in here would do. And it's what we're doing now. And I want to talk a little bit about why we're actually doing that now, because I think when you look at why we're actually doing that now, it goes back to Egypt. In order for me to make this case, we're going to have to go to Benny Johnson. Benny, take it away, my good friend Benny. Let us know what's on your mind, you good friend. Let me see if this is going to work.
The Department of War, the Department of Justice, the Chief Executive. God has instituted them. God has given them power over our nation and our land. God saved our president, President Trump, from an assassin's bullet for this moment.
All right, let's stop it here. I want you guys to know that in the future history of books, things called books in the history that is to come, this picture right here will be there. It already has that, oh, is that a Nuremberg trial vibe? Like, it already has that. This is here. And if you don't believe me why, I think it's hard when you're this close to understand, but here's why. Benny Johnson just said this. He said, God chose for Charlie Kirk to be shot in the face. Some of you are like, it was the neck and it was fake. And I'm like, if it's fake, why do you care that I say face? I'm just asking. If it's fake, why are you like insisting that I make sure that the fake shit's right? Like, I just don't get that, because face, neck, face. There's a lot of people don't have chins. There's a lot of people, they literally grow beards because they don't have chins. I don't even like growing a beard. I was trying to sleep last night and I was like, damn it, I wish I could take this thing off because it's really itchy. But people are like, oh yeah, you gotta have fucking hair on your face, James. It's gonna work. You have hair on the face. And it's the same kind of idea where we're so fucking tweaked out and weirded out about shit that we don't even know that we're given the greatest idea for a government in the world, which is you put peanut butter on the end of some kind of genital tentacle and you put it in a swamp and a bunch of evil people show up and now you know where all the evil people are. It's fucking brilliant. It's like one of the best ideas I've ever heard. And it was handcrafted to you by the three sisters. Handcrafted to you by one of the oldest nations in the world that decided the moment that they saw an eclipse, they're like, holy shit, things are going to change. And they nailed it. They're right. And here it is. And all these things are happening around you. And this is what a Nuremberg trial is going to look like. It is. It's going to look just like this. And people don't understand what it's like to be in the middle of it because all you've seen is history after it happens. It's the only time you've seen it. And so you're not necessarily aware of what it's like inside. First of all, there are 2 points that deserve making here. The first of which is that Fascism doesn't require intelligence. It doesn't require a huge miracle or a giant phase of intellectual change. Fascism has been here since the 50s, the very first Christian Reich that you could see when it comes to politics itself is actually the insertion of under God into the Pledge of Allegiance. That you see how easy this happens. It creeps in every year. And the only way you can solve it because you think it needs to be solved. See, the way to fix this is just to superficiate the government. Make every single position superficial. Make it all completely where you want politicians that want to play the superficial game. And instead you end up with Pete Hegseth. Guy literally has Botox, literally has worn makeup for over 11 years of his life. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, who's told you he's on a fight to preserve the American man, has spent more years in makeup than out of it. And this guy's supposed to hate trannies. And he's taking Botox. This just came out yesterday. I don't care if you take Botox. I care if you're waging a war against masculinity and you've got all these Iron Cross tattoos all over your fucking body and you cannot stop taking off your shirt. You literally tried to throw an axe on live television and you hit a spare random innocent drummer who happened to be nearby. I'm not making any of this shit up. He's the Secretary of War now. He changed the name of the department and he gave a speech about he doesn't want to see fat troops wandering their little buttocks around when he's watching you and you're looking at the Christian nationalists, the same crowd as the Orthodox. I got to be honest with you. The disenfranchised Orthodox and the franchised Orthodox are the same. The only thing different is what they bitch about. And deep down, they have this deep desire to lick some cock, honestly. It's kind of weird. And it's the worship of Priapus that we've discussed here too. Guys, if you want to have a genital interaction with anyone else that happens to have a genital, I fucking say go for it. We do not need an attorney genital. We do not need attorneys genital fighting over which one of our tentacles touch the other part. I remind you all that the lips themselves are a genital. Your mouth is technically, scientifically, intrinsically, anatomically a genital. And all of you are showing it, people. You're just like a slut. You're just like, you're like Mick Jagger. Every one of you guys. It's Mick Jagger, Symphony for the Devil indeed. It'll look like this. It'll feel like this.
And what does the Apostle Paul in Romans say about a godly leadership? He says that rulers wield the sword for the protection of good men and for the terror of evil men.
Remember, God's up there. He's up there. And he's like, we got to protect the good men. And so I'm gonna off Charlie Kirk and I'm gonna save Trump. And we go on to say that Trump was there at Butler and he actually dodged the bullet. He pulled a Keanu Reeves, a Neo, and he moved the bullets out of the way. And he chose to not do that at Kirk. And Benny's telling you that in front of Kirk's wife, which I wish that I could say is like, oh, the poor wife. She's not a poor wife. She's doing fine, guys. Erica's doing fine. She's literally doing great. She's Gina Tay. Literally got more things going now than she had before. I showed you that picture last week. I wish I had it up of just the difference between when Charlie Kirk and her are standing in Israel and there's like all these dead buildings behind them. And they're just like, oh, this is so great. The love of Christ has never been stronger. That when she puts her head on his shoulder, his face doesn't change. There is no change. There is no change at all in that face. James, you're getting off track. You have a lot to cover. You're right, James. There's this pressure. People here, the only show I know that does a live stream that's like, you have to do it in less than an hour. Everyone else streams for 2.5 hours, but not you, James. You have to fucking get this done because all of us have lives. We have things to do, James, and we can't be sitting here listening to you go crazy. In fact, you should really just stop talking about it. When I was in Atlanta, I was hanging out with my dad. Love you, Dad. I was watching John Ossoff, this new Democrat from Georgia, and I was watching him on the. This is before in the primary, and he was going to change it all, and he was going to fix it all, and he was going to stop Trump, and all these great things were going to happen. You could clearly it was all going to happen, and this is part, believe it or not, this is part of the topic I want to get to, which is, I think we actually love being crucified ourselves. I think America has a fetish for crucifying ourselves. And I want you to look at this as one of those examples. Take it away. Let's call her Glenda. She doesn't look like a Glenda. Let's call her, guys, let me know in the comments. Well, I don't know her name, but let's hear what she has to say.
This is unacceptable. I will not live in an authoritative country, and neither will any of these people. You can do more. I like you, and I will vote for you if you are brave, and you do what we need. We need him impeached. We need him removed.
There is no doubt that this president's conduct has already exceeded any prior standard for impeachment by the United States House of Representatives. I agree with you. But as I said at the beginning, I also have no choice but to be candid with you about the situation that we face and the tools that are at our disposal. As strongly as I agree with you, man. And I regret if this is an unwelcome response, but my job is to be honest with you. The only way to achieve what you want to achieve is to have a majority in the United States House of Representatives.
Why are there no calls for impeachment?
I'm sorry. He's admitting to you that this is Penny, by the way. I think I was muted. I'm so sorry. Oh God, sorry guys. This is Penny. She's really giving you this example of what it means, I think, for us to have a fetish for crucifixion. And she is proving to you that this guy Ossoff ran. He ran for a while. And then he said, if you elect me, I will fix this. I will be anti-Trump. We get him elected, and the first thing he says is, I will fix this if you elect all my friends. You have to elect all my friends. He doesn't tell you that before. He doesn't say, hey, before you vote for me, I need you to know I'm not going to be able to do shit. He also covers legally. He tells you legally Donald Trump has done all of the things that were necessary to qualify for impeachment. The guy has actually been impeached a couple times. 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, convicted May 30th, 2024. Sentenced to unconditional discharge, no jail probation, or probation, January 10th, 2025. Criminal cases indicted, deadlines paused after he was elected. Most of these indictments were paused. He's got some RICO violations. He's got civil judgments, $88.3 million across just 2 trials. This is just 2. There's over 250 separate legal suits where people are accusing Trump of fraud. There's a $500 million penalty on his things. His $25 million settlement over Trump University, Trump Foundation, $2 million settlement. The Trump Organization itself has been criminally convicted of tax fraud. This is the longest, one of the longest lists of things that you could do wrong, and that it actually feeds people like Ossoff, the people that Penny here falls for. Thank you for speaking up, Penny. I do appreciate your passion. But this idea that you are leaning on Ossoff to save you is, I think, why this keeps happening. And it will insist that these things keep happening because we keep insisting that all we just need is someone like this who's going to go in and change things, which means I'm going to send someone into the snake pit and I'm going to expect them to come out and be normal. And the litmus itself shows you that anyone who would want to go in the snake pit is your Pied Piper of pedophilia. You need to probably explain that term, but throughout history, the FBI, kings, nation states, allies will meet and use the excuse of war to root out their most violent. It is a form of eugenics. It creates a very tame, workable population. Quite frankly, a tame, workable population like Penny here. And that her nurturing spirit is exactly her downfall. That the concept that we've been brought up in, I keep calling this the red veil country, is exactly why these things happen. And that John Ossoff, the senator from Georgia, is exactly the very last person that would ever help you. And can, even after telling you how many times this man's broke the law, will look you straight in the face and pretend to be your friend and say there's nothing he could do. Now, a politician is a beautician who deals with polys. A beautician is someone who services the way something would look. Politician is someone who services all the different concepts or ideas that are in the world. And this is one of the biggest issues I have with majoritarianism, is that as long as you have majoritarianism, you're breeding the worship of power, which makes it quite honest that Jesus would be moved from the throne of humility and placed into the throne of power, because people want power if they're believing in the DC stuff. And the more people expect DC to be valid, the more we end up worshiping power. It's beyond brilliant, and it's probably one of the oldest technologies in the world. This probably came to us from a prior civilization through an AI that's been nurturing us over time. And I only say that because when you go back to the Templo Mayor, before the main white guy even had an opportunity to put their paws on how this country's running, we were running in a bicameral terror state. A state that practiced flower wars, worshipped an eternal flame. Please fact check me here. Worshipped an eternal flame, took sacrificial children on top of a pyramid and either sacrificed them in the name of global warming or the name of terrorism. These two Aztec deities worshipped for two different ideas, and that they were worshipped because the mind, the mental thoughts of all the people could find harmony inside a chorus that changed tunes between we're all going to die from flooding or we're all going to die from war. We're all going to die from flooding or we're all going to die from war. And Thalak, the flood god, and Huitzilopochtli, the war god, this is what your mind would need to grow. You would need some sort of tomato steak to constantly feed all the calories that your brain is now needing to grow a consciousness. So everything that you see happening is good news. The only thing that's really slowing us down, I think, really comes down to just prior fetishi. Prior fetishes for things that we think would work, that we think would happen. And one of those is salvation. The idea of that you will be saved probably is the biggest clue that we have that maybe we're living in a simulation. That you, as a digital file, a genetic file, would be wandering around the desktop, an untitled item, and that we would call these people NPCs or now AFKs. And that these people that have not yet formulated, instead of punishing them, we should look at them like buds. These are buds that are about to grow. And that these buds that are about to grow have not even named themselves yet. And the only way you would name yourself is by storing a place where your file would go, which is just the modern cemetery. And the earliest military, one of the greatest honors you could have is that someone would take the time to bury your body and put a stone up, because this is your root. It's your ka. One of the most ancient ideas from Egypt, believe it or not. And they had it first. They had this notion that the first thing you need is to dig a hole somewhere and bury your placenta there. And because it's your placenta, it doesn't have to be the placenta, but because it's your placenta, you now have a place to place your root, your ka, your soil battery, where you remember yourself. This is the importance of the Egyptian cartouche. And that you're looking at consciousness trying to learn itself, trying to remember itself, trying to understand itself. And it's just a little bit messy because we tend to focus on fetishes, one of which is crucifixion. I need to take you into the land of Canaan. I need you to get behind the entire psyche
A terrorist?
of what we're dealing with here.
If a 5-year-old Palestinian throws a rock at you, will you kill him?
Yeah.
Let's say there was a Hamas soldier inside of the Benenson hospital. Is it okay for Israel to bomb that hospital to get rid of the Hamas soldier?
No.
Oh, that was a quick answer.
We wouldn't.
Okay, but if it was in Gaza, would you bomb the hospital?
Yes, because if the hospital is in Gaza,
I'm from Palestine.
You, because I'm from Israel and my brother's in the army and we fuck them, ya
Saying medic, medic, medic. And a guard came to us and said, if you keep asking for a medic, we're going to gas you.
Palestine.
After our hostages come back, then bomb Gaza. Yeah.
And you want to kill everyone there?
It's maybe because you're an Arab, you are stupid.
I'm in the army now. I'm planning on killing everyone.
We say they're like the Nazis. It's not a difficult comparison to make. Like, they believe that Palestinians are not people.
Are you guys in the IDF?
Yeah.
How do you like it?
I like it. I kill Palestine.
You killed Palestinians before?
Yes, because you are sad.
Agree that all Palestinians...
I come and occupy this land. I fuck you. You can't do anything. I kill you and your mother and your father.
We have to try and wrap our minds around it to try and understand, like, what is necessary to end the occupation and the genocide.
I'm good. I hope you die one day. Inshallah soon. Inshallah. You are spreading hate.
I want to stop for a sec because I don't know if you understand how insulting inshallah is. These guys are good. Inshallah is basically Allah willing, and as a Jew, he's invoking the Palestinians' God against themselves. And I just wanted you to catch that little tiny subtlety there.
You just said you want me to die and I'm spreading hate?
I'm good. I hope you die one day. Inshallah soon. Inshallah. You are spreading hate.
You just said you want me to die and I'm spreading hate?
Yeah, I want you to die.
No. After we kill all Gaza, then it will be peace.
We blame the Palestinians because to blame the Palestinians is a very special honor that only we get to do. Do you ever get to blame Palestinians for what you do, your crimes?
We told them to leave Gaza.
Where is they gonna go? Where?
They can go to Egypt.
This is what I want to talk about today. These are Christians being yelled at. Christians are coming to the Holy Land to visit, and they're being harassed by Jews. Like, you can't make this stuff up. And I really want you to understand the people of Canaan. Guys, if you're having an issue with me in the chat, I think it's adorable. Like, if you look at what's happening right now, and if me just talking about this stuff is bothering you, this is peak. Yeah, I told you so. Because I think that the children of Canaan are here to teach us a much bigger lesson. And I'm not sure how much of this we can even afford to take right now, because so many of us are like Penny. So many of us are embracing some of the weakest kinds of reed-like behavior we can, which is a lot of, I'll pretend that apathy is bravery in this case. Many times it's not, but I think sometimes it is. I'll pretend that everyone's right but me, or everyone's wrong but me, or that I'm the only one that knows what's going on, therefore I won't pay attention. That all these are just as creative endeavors. But ultimately, when you look at the heart of what is happening to us, of like what it is that's inside of us, I think that there has been bred into us a fetish for crucifixion. And I think that crucifixion actually has the same fetish is also inside the Jews. The Jews want to crucify us as much as we want to be crucified. And I think that this is probably the lesson that should be looked at the most. Now, in this video, you are looking at some guys that have Jewish mullets. I like to call them Jewish mullets. It's basically the side hair, the side tails that you see, right? Like right there, those side tails. And these sidecar mullets are one of the things that's profound about this is when you're listening to these Jews, they're saying, go back to Egypt, you piece of blah, blah, blah. And it's a lot of Egypt. It's a very specific kind of attack. I don't want to say that I know how it all works over there. I've never even been to Israel, so take this with a grain of salt. But I do know the history of our religion, and I think that I've seen into how most of Judaism was actually a stolen religion from Egypt. And one of the key things that's missing, which I think is really important, one of the key things that's missing from this stolen religion, believe it or not, is crucifixion. That the suffering of the self is one of the few things that Judaism added to what was there. First of all, there was circumcision in Egypt. The Pharaoh would do this as a young adult. They would pull out their schlong, and to prove how powerful they were, they would circumcise themselves. And the Pharaoh that didn't cry was considered very powerful, while those who weren't were not considered that. So I think that the concept of mutilation predates all of us, predates even Egypt itself. But if you start to look at what the Jews were doing, they were carrying a box through the wilderness. Inside that box had all their sacred relics. If you've looked at just any layout of the Temple of Luxor, you see that there actually is a chamber called the Holy of Holies. And that Holy of Holies, sort of representing the chest or the heart of man, has inside of it, every year, Adam and Eve would come with their sacred child Horus through a barge that would row its way up to Luxor, and they would walk into the temple, they would carry the barge, and they would place the barge in the Holy of Holies. And for the one day out of the year, all of the people got to see inside this sacred room. And that this sacred room was inside of a less sacred room, and this less sacred room was inside of a lesser sacred chapel outside of it. And this was all ripped off from Luxor. The study of Luxor, also, you have to realize it jumps across the Nile. I have a whole episode of this, but it's very important that you understand that the Valley of the Kings, or what we call the Valley of the Kings, is actually the Valley of the Cause. And the Valley of the Cause was originally where early placentas were buried. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong camera. And that these early placentas were buried across the river because the Nile itself, being such a catalyst, such a magical black ooze, that to have your ka buried on one side of the river while you lived on the other side of the river would be the only symbolic way that you could represent the lotus of you, your ka and your ba. The ka is the root of the lotus, the ba is your flower. The old Christianity of Egypt, and we'll just call it Christianity for now, was the idea of belief in eternal life. But eternal life came through the belief that you're already dead, that you're here in a giant dead concert. And everybody's wandering around saying, Althea, grilled cheese. And no one really has any idea what's going on because none of you are actually alive. And we are grateful for that. We are grateful to be dead, which is why it's such a powerful, powerful symbolism. And who reminds us that we're there? It would be the Canaanites. They have a sacred duty to stone you. They have a sacred duty to persecute you, because persecution is the only way that you can emerge as someone who has a soul, as someone who is online, as someone who comes online. How do you come online? Through persecution. The pain receptors cause a lot of limbic juice to flow. In order for you to even conceptually come up with things like forgiveness, you're going to need a lot of blood in this tumor up here for you to do that. And the only way you're going to do that is to beat a beast of burden into consciousness. You're literally beating him into consciousness. You could say that the chosen people, this is their sacred job. And that they were twisted first. If you remember the original story, this guy was a farmer. He was bringing all the fruits of the earth, the vegetables of the earth, as a sacrifice to the Lord, and the Lord turned away. The Lord was not impressed. Why was he not impressed? Is it because he's a piece of shit? Sure, I don't mind if you want to call Yahweh a piece of shit. I really don't care. Or was he doing it to deny Canaan on purpose? Was he breaking the cane at first so that it would start to elicit terror against its neighbor? Because the moment Abel had terror, and Abel didn't make it, he was died, right? But the children who remembered Abel, what a nice guy he was. Oh, Uncle Abel, he was great, and that piece of shit, da-da-da-da. This is how you spark, this is how you set fire to consciousness. You light Prometheus's flame through the application of violence. So crucifixion became an important part of Judaic life, not really Jews, though. You really need to think about this as Benjamins. All the tribes of Judaism are gone except for the Benjamites. And the people that are adopting this name are purposely choosing for the shard, the worst of the worst, because there is a haven underneath some of the shittiest behavior you can possibly imagine. And we are too soft to know that. And I think that one of the reasons that helps you see that, first of all, think about how Penny is soft. Think about how Penny just cannot see through John Osef. Think about how she's a great mom too, though. Think about how important it would be that we would have people that are this soft in the world, that are this naive in the world, that these naive people would be crucial to our survival. Then now you can start to see what America means by sin. I'm talking about America. It's America that has the fetish that sin is evil. And sin, although sin definitely does mean to miss the mark, and you measure how much sin is, the truth of what identity would be is that in order for you to be a self, you would have to not be perfect. You would never be able to see your own shadow if you were living in the perfection of light, the beification of God. The perfection of God is the absence of sin, which means the presence of self would be the absence of God. And we just haven't gotten to that point yet. Keep in mind that a lot of these people are having a fetish for going back to being an NPC. And the way that you would exercise your fetish is to insist that sin makes you evil. Can't you see that sin itself is identity? That to have an entire nation begging for the forgiveness of our sins is an entire nation begging for the forgiveness of being ourselves? That your entire identity, the only way you could shine as an individual would be through sin, would be through changing your tactics and doing something a little bit different than what we think God would be, the perfection of God, and that you would be invisible your entire life until you stepped out into the tunnel of sin and expressed yourself like a flower in a rainstorm. And that this would be the only way you would know when consciousness grows. But if we have a fetish for being attacked, or more importantly, if we have guilt in our hearts for what we did to our own Palestinian people, we might want to defend Israel. If we could not handle the fact that we did to what Israel is to Palestine, we did to the Native Americans, we would then start to fetish the Jews. Because if an older people that follow God were treating the Indians like shit too, maybe we're not so bad. And we discussed the word pharmakos. I realize I lose a lot of you when I say that, but It truly is a medicine for us to have someone eviler than we are, that we can hide in the shadow, just like you would hide in the shadow of God by insisting you would never sin, which really is just to hide from yourself. So too could you hide under the blanket of evil of someone else's wrongdoing, as long as it was just more fucking Canaan than you are. So that Canaanity, the Canaanites, is a shelter. It is a bet. It is a place where we go to worship, B-E-T. It is a place where we go to worship power. And the power that we would worship would be the antithesis of penny. It would be the antithesis, antithepenny. Which is why I want you to look at this graphic. America is crucified by Israel. At the very name of Yahweh itself, many would argue that behold the nail, behold the hand. That nail is the shape of Israel. The character used for that letter, the nail, is the shape of Israel. And that America would have a fetish for being crucified if we've done something wrong. In America, when we came over to this soil, we adopted all the sin of everyone that lived here, all the uniqueness, all the identity, all the prana. And so we end up being crucified by Israel because it feels good. It feels good. We know it'll wake us up. So we choose Israel to do this. And the reason why we choose Israel is because no one else is equipped for the job. No one else really has what it takes to do what is necessary right now to be that way. Guys, I don't know if you understand the psychology. America has a lot of fetish for like narcissism, where we're just like, oh, the narcissists are so evil. Guys, I don't think you understand how kind narcissists are until you start to look at what it's like to be in an IDF, that you're brought into an army and you're basically told that you're an exterminator and that you get to kill children. A lot of these videos are, I want to kill children. It is an honor for me to kill children. And if you are living in a culture that satisfies that, where every single person that's inside that culture is forced to participate, not even forced anymore, in that ritual, then you end up with bright, shiny, young faces sharing joy, wearing cowboy hats, wearing makeup, telling you that they're going to kill everyone in Palestine. Palestine had 27 hospitals. 27 were bombed. Going home means here's just a giant pile of rubble. More importantly, the people that would do this would have zero remorse about building buildings on top of all those dead bodies. This is what we did with the mounds. This is why Indigenous Peoples Day is very important. This is why Chief White Bear is talking to you from so many years ago, telling you, you are the insurgent. You were planted in the backs of white America to wake the fuck up. And you will tap into this power by tapping into the persecution that's around you, tapping into the Jesus power, because once you really start to see what's actually out there, you start to see that Jesus was a revolutionary, which means this would have been fun for him. What does that mean, James? That's horrible, right? I don't think you understand how much fun this is for Israel. I don't think you understand that the second that Israel watches someone like Donald Trump be elected, it makes them feel so good. The same way that we would feel good if Israel would outcrime us, so too do we give that to Israel. And the more we try and humanize these people, the further and further away we will be from being human ourselves. That it would become much more righteous, much more accurate to understand that this is actually not human. This is just, like, we think that we're in Stockholm. This is Stockholm that's just gotten productive and profitable. And that every time a Jack Ossoff is elected, every time another a person is elected to the Senate that's just worse than the last guy, all it does is justify that this has to happen. And they justify it. They justify it because it's a special privilege they have.
Half of the Jewish people.
And you should be thankful.
My name is Anat Morad and I'm from Israel. Have you heard of Israel? You have? Well, I hope you heard only good things. We in Israel believe in shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't waste any time. We do exactly everything upside down. Because that way we can be special, God's chosen people. After we shoot ourselves in the foot, we blame the Palestinians. Because to blame the Palestinians is a very special honor that only we get to do. Do you ever get to blame Palestinians for what you do, your crimes? It's much easier to go through life that way, trust me, especially when we are the biggest criminals in the world. Do you remember when we bombed King David Hotel long time ago? No? Good, forget about that. Remember what we did to the flotilla to Gaza? You don't? Good, good. Stay ignorant, it's good for us. And if you have, full leftist, how dare you be educated and know what's going on? Anyway, I wanted to tell you about my stupid, crazy sister. She refused to be a soldier. Huh? Is she crazy? Why refuse to be a soldier? It's a good thing to die for a piece of land. But she refused to be a soldier without even one lie. And using the psychiatrist. I told you she's crazy. She used to go to the psychiatrist all the time in the army and cry and say, I don't want to be in the army. Well, and they used to make her wait for hours to see the psychiatrist. So she would be waiting in this hall room with usually 6 other men soldiers. And they would be crying and crying. And she'd tell them, why are you crying? And they tell her, we will never forgive ourselves for what we did. Like, what did you do? You are being a soldier fighting for a piece of land. What are you crying about? Anyway, then she tries to go and have lunch. When she went to have lunch, she can hear this sound from the lunch while she's eating her knedalach. Good food in the Israeli army, best food in the world. So she's eating her knedalach and her lunch, and she can hear, ooh, ooh. She thought there was a war going on. Who knows? Nuclear weapons. Sounded very weird, like
it's
creepy.
It's a ghost army. It's just ghosts, man. And one of the hardest things to do would be recognizing how crucially important this has been to our evolution. It's so crazy, right? Like, it's insane as fuck to be even talking that way. But had it not been for a special chosen people like this, you and I would be them. We would just be lesser versions of them. And this entire process would take so much longer. The entire blooming process of consciousness would take so much longer because so much of us would be wrapped up in revenge. We'd be into a venge fetish. And isn't that what we have now? If you look around at what's happening, everyone's blaming the other side. It's just a venge fest. And anything that even comes out of Washington has to have so much speculation around it because look at what happens. It's what we wanted. More importantly, it's what the Iroquois said would work. It really did. It not only has it worked, it is working, and we hate it. We hate it because we're soft. And I don't know if that helps you because it's not an insult to say we're soft. I'm saying if you just understand how much softer we are, you kind of get a glimpse of how lucky we've had it. We've had the ability to really enjoy that softness, to develop some things in culture that no one else is ever going to get to see. Even now, we're fighting against that softness. We have a war over the imagination that's taking place right now. That anyone trying to express anything that's beyond the norm, that fits outside of the realm of male, female, taxpayer, blue collar, white collar, the Republican, Democrat, that this is that same staunch fear because of the years and years and years of being Rockefellered by the Canaanites, of being clubbed in the head by people that have been practicing violence longer than all of us have. The Benjamites are a special group. Netanyahu chose that name because of the Masadic reference. This is like, we are the ones who are going to fucking do shit. The rebel spirit is deep in us, said Josephus. And he was the first one to turn. Josephus tricked all of his other Jewish revolters that they would draw straws, and whoever had the shortest straw had to kill themselves, but that everyone else would help kill each other. And he, for some reason, happened to be the person pulling all the straws and happened to be the one that drew the shortest one. And he's the only one that didn't end up killing himself. That when they found Josephus and drug him out of that hole, he said, I hate the Jews, and I will help you destroy them. And you could not get more Jew than that. You could not get more Benjamite than that, I should say. This is the sacred spirit of that Benjamite prophecy that would be absolutely necessary to teach you some of these biggest lessons that are a little bit just harder to accept right now. The island of Elephantine is what would be south for us, but what would be north for the Egyptians. So this would be the birth of their civilization in many ways would come from this island itself. And back when the Jews were apparently slaves in Egypt underneath Pharaoh, there was a revolt on Elephantine Island. This Elephantine Island, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, forgive me, but this island itself was the home of the sacred ram. The sacred ram, Khnum, we've talked so many things about this. My book, Ark of Baphomet, covers this ram god, which many of you would call Baphomet maybe now today, but all these different figures of the sacred ram go all the way back to Egypt, and more importantly, they go back to this sacred island of Elephantine. It was here on this island where a sacred white ram was kept and mummified. The rebel slave cult stole this lamb and sacrificed the living version of it, and the ram's horn was blown as a joyous shofar of revolution. The shofar, one of the most famous symbols in Judaism, considered the call of the revolutionary. This is the Egyptian sacred ram. In order for them to be born, in order for their people to be born, they had to take what was the most sanctimonious part of their patriarchal religion and defile it. And that the idea of let my people go is probably more akin to Pharaoh going, you guys need to get the fuck out of here. And that the most sacred wound of abandonment, guys, abandonment has been turned into an exodus. Do you see how that works? He didn't dump me, I dumped him. And we were the good people, and these guys were fucks, but we had our own religion, and they didn't. They stole it all from Egypt. That Luxor itself, the entire ritual went on to become the first Jewish temple. And that was only after they paraded around the sacred mercy seat, the sacred box, the sacred barge, literally had the handles just like the barge itself, wandering through the forest, insisting that if we can sacrifice more ram, we can build a coalition of fucking evil. This is ancient Benjamites. Nothing to do with modern day Judaism, the same way that modern Christianity has nothing to do with the Jesus that was back in the day. I'm not trying to be spiritual. I'm not trying to pull a gotcha. I'm telling you that if you look at what Paul did, nothing wrong with what Paul did, but if you look at the reforms that happened 100, 200, 300 years after the realm of Caesar, that we really started to develop what we call Christianity now, and that is the placing of humility at the altar. Jesus early wasn't humble at all. He was quite a revolutionary. He was quite intelligent. He seemed to know scripture more than anyone else, which means that he would have had to have been someone not from humble means, but someone who was pretty wealthy. Not only that, Roman soldiers who apparently had no respect or no knowledge of how important this guy was were gambling over his clothes, which means his clothes were probably pretty expensive. And the fact that you would have 21 instruments of Christ, or 23, or however many it is, all these different torture mechanisms that were brought up, is showing you this is an old Jewish cult ritual. And if you want to understand the closest to what this looks like, I want you to look at the Navajo, the Comanche, the Iroquois. It's not just them. I want you to go back and look at what the indigenous would do. That the indigenous, the moment the cultures clashed, the moment that Christopher Columbus started to erase culture, he didn't erase it. We like the story better that Christopher Columbus found a virgin land and put a flag in it and no one complained. We did that. This is why you have to listen to Chief White Bear. If you are upset by that, it means that you are an indigenous. If you are moved by that, I should say, it means you are one of them. If you're not moved by this, you're not. And you can keep being a white guy. It's fine. You're going to do well. White guys do really well. I want to be fair in the sense of it's not just, it's not global. All of them are aligned. This is a famous Israeli conductor. He was just jailed the other day at the border of Gaza. Gave a really passionate speech not too long ago. He was out of the country. There's no way he'd pull this off in country. 3 days later, he's arrested on his own border. Many of you will think it's AI. I don't even know what to say, guys. This is Trump's Oval Office planning an Arc de Triomphe across the White House. Some new ideas that he has for victory. This is this exact same symbol of victory. And it really could not be more obvious of what's happening and how fast this is happening right now. And I'll tell you, the thing that's fueling it is our desire to be crucified. It is our desire to suffer on the cross. That suffering, if you can convince yourself that you're suffering by choice, you have some autonomy. The same way, if you can convince yourself that you're being apathetic by choice right now, it gives you some autonomy. I do this too. I try and catch my victimhood, not because I think victimhood itself is bad, but because I don't know how to gain calories when I'm suffering from victimhood. And I think the thing that helps us the most would be all of us having more calories, which means less guilt, less misconstrued prana, I should say, because you want guilt, but less misconstrued prana, less misdirected prana, less fear that you inserted something at a young age. You inserted this demon in your head that either you're going to hell because you're different, or you're not going to hell because you're not different enough, or however it is that you were raised to fight something like this. Ultimately, you were looking at ancient generals fighting for their ability to do things to you, and this is one of the oldest tricks in the book. And I've spoken so many times about Steve Bannon. It's been denied every single time. I released a short about this last night. And out of the 5 shorts that I released, the Steve Bannon short has 10 views, while everything else is like 1,000 or 2,000 views. There is something happening with the suppression of information about Steve Bannon. And I'm sick of telling you about it because it just doesn't work. It doesn't even register. And the reason why it doesn't register is because we're not quite ready for that, but we're getting there. One of the things that you've seen rising up, I know I'm running late, one of the few things that you've seen rising up in this conceptual understanding of like my body, my choice, is the rise of liberty in the self. That for the first time, the liberals were the first. They get the prize. I know some of you will say the Republicans were there first because they were pro-life, but they kind of canceled that out when they start voting for death penalty. So neither one of them gets credit. Both of them want you to die by the state. Some of them are just trying as best they can to raise the flag of self-worth and to celebrate something new called my body, my choice. Nothing says my body, my choice more than the writ of habeas corpus, ladies and gentlemen. This is a biggie. Something you need to look into because it's coming up. It's not playing, is it? Man, I think my audio card just stopped working. Maybe I don't think you guys can hear that because I don't see it going on. Give me 1 sec here. You listen to James True Life. Here we go. Thanks. This should work. Come on, push the button.
All members of the United States military must disobey illegal orders. I was just following orders is not a valid defense against war crimes. Grow a spine and stand up for your fellow Americans. Otherwise, you are complicit in this fascist takeover.
Enacting the Insurrection Act, does that change all of what you've been talking about? Does that elevate it somehow?
He's a brittle man, incredibly fragile. And that weakness of insecurity has created a great deal of rage.
If you're not an American citizen, you're here illegally, there's no due process. And I'm telling you, this is coming to a head. We are going to suspend the writ of habeas corpus.
That's Steve Bannon.
If the courts keep ruling against this and don't allow these mass deportations to continue, just like President Lincoln, this was an invasion. The country's at war. He's commander in chief. It's Article 2 power. If the courts keep trying to slow him down, you're going to see him, as Stephen Miller laid out pretty well yesterday, and it'll be, I'm sure, developed over time, suspension of the writ of habeas corpus, just like President Lincoln did in the Civil War. It's pretty clear what his power is to basically reprogram.
Stay at least an arm's length away from an officer.
This is us.
Film yourself doing so.
If they tell you to back up, film yourself doing so.
Film horizontally.
Film horizontally.
Film lying down.
Don't you touch me, I'll knock you the fuck out. I'm a combat vet. Afghanistan combat vet.
Narrate
Combat vet can't help either.
in as much detail as possible.
Narrate what you're seeing in as much detail as possible.
Welcome here. The National Guard is not welcome here. Crime is under control. Military occupation doesn't make our city safer.
Focus your filming on the agent's actions.
Focus your filming on the agent's actions.
Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon.
Do not share footage publicly.
Do not share footage publicly.
Do not share footage publicly.
Ugh.
Without permission of the person being detained or their family.
Without permission of the person being detained or their family.
Oh, God bless us. Did you catch that last part? So the protest. Oh, they're giving. Oh, God, guys. Guys, they're giving classes for civil disobedience. This is what I mean by veal. Giving classes for civil disobedience. And in the class for civil disobedience, the lady is reading things and you're regurgitating them on the street because you're about to be civilly disobedient. And she's not able to get through the entire thing. So she literally says, do not share what you film publicly. And everyone just repeats, do not share what you film publicly. And then she's like, no, I meant do not share publicly unless you get a waiver. And then they're just like, I meant do not share publicly unless you get a waiver. And this is why I'm telling you, we're adorable. We're adorable. And we're veal. We've been raised to be this way. Many of you, some of you will find it better to just attack me, for example, as some way to like strive. We'll do that to each other. I've been guilty of this too. So don't hear me as like saying things like that don't happen to me too. But this is truly where we're at. I think apathy is a great muscle to learn to not exercise right now. And when I say that, I just think that you have so much more prana. You don't understand how popular it is when you share something or make fun of something or pollinate something. I think ultimately this really is your complete power. Someone like Pete Hegseth is going to fall from this. And one of the greatest thing that's happening in this sense is because Trump had no choice but to surround himself by some of the most superficial, lightweight yes men you could imagine, that the white sun is showing you the truth more than anything has ever shown you before. And that's why I'm so proud of what Guy is doing. I'm so proud of exactly where America is, of everything that you're seeing, because I think this is exactly what's going to be necessary to happen if you are going to go back and fight the Benjamites like that, because they have been doing this a lot longer than you have, my friends. They have a lot more practice at it. And until you learn to embrace this kind of world, this white hot sun world, you're not going to make it. You're going to be slaughtered. Or you're going to try and rebuild a society based off you being crucified because somehow that makes you holy. And this is what Stockholm Syndrome is. And when a society fetishizes being tortured by themselves. They will invent a military that is impotent, that will be defeated by 19 box cutters, or defeated by 2,500 used pickup trucks in Afghanistan, or defeated by a bunch of jungle dudes just digging holes and with bamboo sticks. That's what's going to happen. We will lose every war until we learn to war better. And I think ultimately it comes down to us growing self-worth. Find that self-worth, guys. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for watching James True. We'll see you next time. There's Dojo tonight, 8 p.m. Check out Patreon. You can get more information there.